In mythology and folklore, shapeshifting is the ability to physically transform oneself through a superhuman ability, divine intervention, demonic manipulation, sorcery, or spells into something or someone else. The idea of shapeshifting is actually the oldest form of shamanism, which, if you don't know what shamanism is a religious practice where a practitioner, or the shaman, interacts with the spirit world through altered states of consciousness, such as a trance. Shapeshifting is also featured in some of the oldest literature out there, such as the Epic of Gilgamesh and the Iliad. Shapeshifting is also seen in different cultures across the globe. Some popular movies or TV shows feature shapeshifting. For example, Harry Potter, you see Nymphadora Tonks. We see one of the main characters in the hit Netflix show Wednesday. She's a shapeshifter.
Well, she's a werewolf.
Oh, but she shapeshifts. Wait, no. The principal's a shapeshifter.
Oh, she is, yeah.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. The principal's a shapeshifter. That is kind of a spoiler. Whatever. But the list is quite comprehensive. We see shapeshifting in Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man, Mulan, Moana, Twilight. The list goes on and on. Star Wars.
In the cartoons.
So why is this idea of shapeshifting seen in such classic literary pieces across different cultures around the globe in our modern entertainment sources today?
You know, they say a lot of the politicians are shapeshifters, like Hillary Clinton, I know
True.
Obama, they said Donald Trump, George Bush is a lizard man, you know.
And could there be shapeshifters around us? Is our world being led by shapeshifters? Are there YouTubers that are shapeshifters? With that being said, my name is Kayla, this is Xenu, and welcome to Cauldron Convos, baby! If you are new here, make sure to subscribe because we have all sorts of fun while also talking about paranormal, spooky, conspiracy, true crime topics that are super interesting, and we do the hard work for you. We put in hours of research so you can get just a little bite-sized 30-minute fun, entertaining podcast. Subscribe! Let's get into the international beliefs on shapeshifting, okay? The Ichadari Nag and Ichadari Nagin are shapeshifting cobras of Indian. A common male
India.
A common male cobra will become an Ichadari Nag, and a common female cobra will become an Ichadari Nagin after 100 years of tapasya, which is penance. So after these cobras go through 100 years of penance, after being blessed by Lord Shiva, they attain a human form of their own. They have the ability to shapeshift into any living creature and can live for more than 100 years without getting old. Bam.
That's not a bad deal.
No. And the Huli Jing are Chinese mythological creatures usually capable of shapeshifting, who may either be benevolent or malevolent spirits. In Chinese mythology and folklore specifically, the fox spirit takes various forms with different meanings, powers, characteristics, and shapes. And it's kind of interesting because similarly, we see this in Japanese folklore, except it's a different name, of course. The kitsune are foxes that possess paranormal abilities that increase as they get older and wiser. According to folklore, all foxes have the ability to shapeshift into human form. And it's not just Japan and China that have this similarity of the fox shapeshifters.
I just pictured a fox with like a Komodo and a Fu Manchu mustache. Or like a Fu Manchu.
We can ask AI to make that for us.
Yeah.
We can sell it on shirts and make lots of money. I'm just kidding.
Dale Wood's a big AI guy.
Yeah. But it's not just in China and Japan. In Korea, the kumiho is a 9-tailed fox that can freely transform into a beautiful woman, often set out to seduce men. And
I think that's a Pokemon.
And either eat their liver or heart, depending on the legend.
Shout out Ninetales.
We also see Norse Loki or the Greek Proteus have the ability to shapeshift. In Greek mythology, we constantly see the idea of shapeshifting. Mostly, though, the transformation is often a punishment from the gods to the humans who cross them. Or Zeus repeatedly transformed himself to approach mortals as a means of gaining access to speak to them as a normal human being, not a god.
How about the Skinwalker? Bring this shit back home. Native Americans, you know, have shape-shifting spirits like the Skinwalker and the Wendigo. You know, they will trick you into coming into the woods and then they'll eat you. Those are evil shapeshifters. But I mean, that's still pretty scary.
Yeah. We also have Celtic mythology as well. For example, Pwyll was transformed by Arwen into Arwen's own shape. And
Arwen?
Arwen, maybe. It doesn't
Well,
have an I.
that's a Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
Arwen.
Arwen transformed
How do you
himself
spell
into Arawn.
Arawn.
Arwen.
Yeah, Arwen.
Okay.
That's that's the Princess of Gondor. Don't worry about it.
He transformed into Pwils so that they could trade places for a year and a day. There are fairies, witches, and wizards that all have this, capability. Not all, but a lot of them have this capability to shapeshift. Not all fairies could shapeshift, though. Some having only the appearance of shapeshifting through their power called glamour, which is to create illusions, and some are limited to changing their size.
Wait, I need to issue a correction. I'm thinking of Arwen, who marries, what's his face? Marries Aragorn. Can't believe I didn't believe that. She's actually the queen of Gondor, but she's an elf. She's not the princess of Gondor.
Okay, this is not a Gondor.
And it's Arwen, not
a Lord of
Arwen.
the Rings podcast.
Well, I'm just saying I'm sorry.
But perhaps the most known Irish myth is actually an icon. Her name is Eowf, I think.
Eowf!
She turns her stepchildren into the children of Lear into swans to be rid of them.
Oh, I thought you were going to say swines.
Just to be rid of them. Just to be rid, like peace. Like, you can change into anything. Why a swan?
I mean, swans are pretty.
I know. So she just got rid of them, but she was also like, I'm going to make you good looking for my reputation.
That's more of a witch, less of a shapeshifter. Like turning someone into a swan.
No. The swans were the shapeshifter. They shapeshifted. I mean, they're not a shapeshifter in the sense that they have
she turned
the
them
ability.
into the shapeshifter.
Yeah, I don't know what the person who can turn into shapeshifters are called. Oh, are they the shapeshifter?
No, she turns people into shapeshifters?
Yeah, but the people are shifting shapes.
They're shape-shiftees.
Okay.
It's not consensual.
It's unconsensual shapeshifting. That's not funny. Okay. In Norse mythology, in the Lokasena, Odin and Loki taunt each other with having taken the form of females and nursing offspring to which they had given birth. Ew, what?
They had a lot of free time in the Norse lands.
Yeah, they have some other stuff in Norse mythology relevant. In Armenian mythology, shapeshifters, including the Nang, a serpentine river monster that can transform into a woman or a seal and will drown humans and then drink their blood.
Jeez Louise.
In Slavic mythology, one of the main gods, Veles, was a shape-shifting god of animals, magic, and the underworld. He was often represented as a bear, wolf, snake, or owl.
I love Veles.
We love Slavic mythology. And there are so many more examples of shape-shifting out there across different cultures, probably some that I didn't mention. Latin America, I mean, I could touch on forever on Native American. We actually did a Native American podcast if you want to watch that one. But anyway, I think you get the sense that it's clearly everywhere, this idea of shape-shifting. So we're like, why is this idea of shape-shifting such a big thing, right? Like, does this mean that this paranormal phenomenon is real?
I think so.
I think so. That's convincing. So a lot of people are taking this and running with it, and they're looking at videos and they're studying them and they're seeing things in the news, and they're trying to determine, are there shapeshifters that are living among us right now? And for example, you may have seen the recent viral video of a woman on a plane. We could just watch it really quickly. Some of the highest voted comments are things like, "It's just weird this video goes viral around the same time that the UFO topic is at peak." Some comments say that this is a shapeshifter that she's looking at. So it's pretty interesting.
But I am telling you right now, that back there is not real. Say whatever you want. I'm telling you, I'm getting the off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it.
Is it a shapeshifter? I mean, it's the guy's physically there, or is she just drunk,
Probably just drunk.
Well, anyway, there was another man threatening to get off the plane in like a few days after this video, actually. And then there was another person that opened the door on a flight trying to get off a few months ago, maybe in May. So there's this theory now that all of these people trying to get off planes, maybe the shapeshifters are among us traveling via plane, via United or American or whatever.
Whatever the preferred carrier is.
Yes. But now let's get into this reptilian conspiracy theory. This is probably one of the most popular shape-shifting modern era theories of
It's like a QAnon theory.
yeah. But this theory is that leaders of the world are alien lizard people who, working together, are going to take over the world and enslave us. So do you know that this idea that the reptilians on Earth, this was popularized by David Icke, who's a conspiracy theorist who says shape-shifting reptilian people control our world by taking on human form and gaining political power to manipulate our societies. Icke has claimed on multiple occasions that many of the world leaders are or are possessed by reptilians ruling the world. Icke has stated on multiple occasions that many world leaders are or are possessed by so-called reptilians.
No, there are some wacky videos online
Yeah.
of like politicians shape-shifting by accident and like Mark Zuckerberg. It's just too good.
It's just too good. We're going to watch some of these videos of people like Queen Elizabeth even people claim that the royal family are all lizard people shapeshifters.
I believe it.
That we have other people as well that we'll watch in a little bit, but I also wanted to feature some stories that we found on Reddit of people claiming that they actually saw shapeshifters. So someone says, okay, let me first clarify that I am open-minded when it comes to these things, but unlike some ufologists or extraterrestrial researchers, I'm not really obsessed with it. I don't think much about it, but I do believe that it'd be madness to think we're alone in the universe. Anyway, let me get to the point. Today I walked to the bus stop to go to uni. At the stop, there was this tall guy with a long nose. He had messy black hair and a 5 o'clock shadow beard going on. Something about him seemed strange to me, though, because he was constantly smiling. There was this odd smile on his face as he glanced around. He would look at me quite often, though he would shift his gaze as soon as our eyes met. So the bus arrived and we all got on it.
Isn't it funny that people are like weirded out by somebody just maybe being in a good mood?
I mean,
like,
but when you get that creepy smile look that's like, ooh, a little unsettling.
I'm sure
you're not a woman.
I'm
okay,
sure
Zeno?
I'm listening to a funny thing
You don't
sometimes,
understand.
and I'm like,
you don't understand.
maniacally smiling on the train. They're like, "What's wrong with this kid?"
Yeah. So the bus arrived and we all got on it. He sat at the back somewhere, but I didn't really pay attention to him that much. It was just odd to me that he was constantly smiling. That's it. Eventually, he pressed the button to stop the bus at where I was going to stop at. We both got off, but there was no one else, just us. He was walking in front of me, and we crossed the road together and entered a park. Again, there was nobody around the premises as far as I could see. Then I saw him sit on the nearest bench. That's when I passed by in front of him and noticed that he had a different face. Blonde hair and no beard. I was absolutely dumbfounded. He whipped out his phone and said something, and he went back to where the bus stopped instead of proceeding forward to enter the uni. I am sure that was him. It was only me and the guy who got off the bus, and I could see that was indeed him while we were crossing the road. He was also still smiling. He had that same dumbass smile on his face up until I passed in front of him and noticed that he had a different face. I spent the next hours pondering if I was hallucinating or not, or if I had zoned out and thus failed to notice this blonde guy somehow making his way there. He wasn't walking that far in front of me, and I couldn't see anyone else ahead after that guy walked back to where the bus dropped us off. This is all really strange, and I'm just wondering if any of you had similar experiences. Let me know down below. I'm interested in hearing them. That's kind of crazy. I mean, I could see where, like,
The second that they're weirded out by somebody smiling, they lose credibility, in my opinion.
No, that's not what it
They
was.
saw two people smiling, and all of a sudden they think they saw a shapeshifter.
No. The person saying that they saw them smiling, so they were like when you get aware of someone a little more than normal.
Yeah, there's like
you
that
see
guy
someone
in Grand
weird.
Central.
Yeah,
There's a
that.
guy in Grand Central Station. I don't know if you've seen him if you've ever been in New York City, but he has a mohawk.
And like he wears a tutu, and he just has like crazy.
It's like a red mohawk, and it's like 4 feet tall.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've seen this guy probably 5 times.
Yeah.
And he's probably seen me 5 times, but he's never noticed me 5 times. But I've always noticed him because he's wearing high heels and a mohawk. And
yeah. But I'm just saying, like, like when you go to the movies or something, there are people that you don't really pay attention to. You're not like keeping your eye on. And then like you'll see someone that's like weirdly smiling at you and maybe looking at you a little too much, and you're like,
maybe
what?
That's different.
So, but
smiling
I'm just saying,
in general,
I
and
think
smiling
this
at you is different.
I think this person meant that they were hyper aware because they had a weird smile, so they were like, a little cognizant of this person, maybe enhancing the fact that she's for sure certain that this is the same person that she saw the bed. Like she was keeping her eyes open for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you.
Anyway, let's go into another story. Don't know if this is the right place for this, and to be honest, I don't really buy into the alien reptilian shapeshifter thing, but I need to record this somewhere. I was walking to work at 8 a.m. this morning in a busy city. The temperature was 42 degrees, so it was cold. I had been awake for an hour at this time, so wide awake, and was listening to music on YouTube as I walked. Coming towards me down the street, I saw a man in shorts, short sleeves, and thongs. I think the flip-flops, not the butt things.
Just imagine.
Multiple thongs on, walking down the street. I glanced at his face and saw that it was really vague or nondescript, almost featureless. At first I thought they were wearing a stocking over their head, and I was trying to think of a reason they'd be doing that. But then I realized this person just had extremely vague features, like just a smooth surface where their face should have been. They had bright blue eyes and a lump where their nose should have been, and otherwise their face was formless. They had no hair on their head and no facial hair. As I got closer, their face got more definition, like it was, quote, loading in. And by the time they were next to me, I could see their face more clearly. Still a fairly nondescript face, but now I could see a more human nose, cheeks, etc. I have pretty good vision. I can make out people's features from across the street fairly well. This person had almost no face when I first saw them at the distance. It looked like they were wearing a stocking over their face. Not sure if this was a reptilian shapeshifter, and I may simply have been mistaken, but a lot about this person was extremely odd to me.
Like they're just wearing pantyhose, like they're just gonna go rob a bank with pantyhose over their face. That's what I thought of immediately.
But it's interesting because one of the top comments was, did they look like this? Putting this photo there. And this person said, that's from the movie Jacob Ladder, 1990 with Tim Robbins. And that's the first thing I saw in mind from your description. That's kind of a creepy experience. Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins had a similar experience. He actually claimed to see them morph in front of his eyes, though, in reptilian nature, I believe.
Whoa.
And then someone else commented, hey, hold up. Me and my boyfriend saw one of these, minus the teeth. The face was really long, freaked us out. Saw it on the side of a highway right up against the guardrail rail facing the highway. It was pouring rain and it was so pale. It gives me the creeps thinking about it.
Well, I hope it wasn't like a burn victim or something, and then he just thinks people are staring at him.
No, I don't think so. Because they're saying that the face like kind of loaded in. Like then it got more enhanced like slowly.
It's like they walked up to him and they saw better detail almost. Whoa.
Well, the woman said that she's has good eyesight and usually can see, but this person like it just struck by.
That's what my mother would say too.
All right. Someone else commented on the same post saying, oddly enough, I too have experienced this several times over the last 27 years. In the mid-sized city I live in, on buses, walking or biking in college, jobs, cemeteries, and parks, I enjoyed walking through, and where I live in the mountains now. The oddest, most troubling experiences were on my favorite lake. Oh, what? I think because of the ley lines and my EM levels. Whoa. That's weird. I don't know. They keep going, but... This is posted on r/paranormal, got over 1,000 upvotes, and the title is I Saw a Shapeshifter. Person said, I'm hoping that by posting here I may connect with someone who has also experienced something similar or have heard of others who experienced similar. Here's my story. This experience happened at approximately 1:20 a.m.-ish Thanksgiving morning 2018. I live in Southwest Washington State and had rented a vacation home in Lincoln City, Oregon to accommodate mine and my sister's family who was flying in from Hawaii for Thanksgiving holiday. We had all arrived at the rental around 3 p.m. About 7:30 p.m., my son started yelling for me. He said my 1-year-old grandson had gotten into my case with my blood pressure meds, and sure enough, one of my pills was missing. We panicked, called poison control, who told us to call 911 ASAP. They sent an ambulance and took my grandson to a small hospital in the area. The staff there did what they could, but told us they were not equipped for the situation, and my grandson needed to be transported to Children's Hospital in Portland. So on Thanksgiving Eve, a pediatric ambulance was sent from Randall to Lincoln City, about a 2.5-3 hour drive due to holiday traffic. It arrived around midnight to pick up my grandson. My son's wife rode in the ambulance with my grandson back to Randall's. Me and my son went back to the beach house to get diapers and clothes. Started the drive to Randall's at about 12:30 a.m. So here's where we encountered something that I and my son will never forget as long as we live. We had been on the road for about an hour and had just passed the Spirit Mountain Casino on Highway 18, and were in the area that was all hay farmland in between Bellevue and McKinnville. The road has 2 lanes only and is definitely a long deserted road, especially at that hour of the night. The ride had been very emotional as I felt extremely guilty for having packed my meds in a side pocket of a tote bag where my grandson was able to access it. I was terrified for him and crying. My son was also upset, and although he was trying to hide it, I knew he blamed me. Anyway, here's the crazy part. As we were driving, I noticed my son slightly drifting in the road. He was falling asleep. Twice I asked him if he was okay to drive and to be careful. So being that I was very concerned that he may fall asleep, I was very aware and up watching him on the road, making sure he would not fall asleep. As we were driving down the road going about 55 in the distance, we both saw what at first we thought was a deer running in our lane on the road, coming straight at us. But within a couple of seconds, we realized it was not a deer, but a golden colored horse. It must have been about 300 feet away at that point. It got closer fast as, like I said, we were traveling about 55 miles an hour. As it got about 150 feet away, it leaped upwards and morphed instantly into a giant owl right before our eyes. The wingspan stretched past our lane in the road. Me and my son estimated it to be 12 to 15 foot wingspan. This thing was enormous. As soon as we saw that, my son yelled out and swerved the car to the left to avoid it, and just as he did this, the owl immediately landed about 50 feet ahead of us to our right in that little area outside the white line, like the bike path area. The owl kind of tucked its head and wings into its chest as if it were scared or trying to hide. As we drove past it, I got a good look at it out of my window, and with its head and wings tucked in, it still came up to be about the bottom of the window of the Subaru. It seemed a little wider than the width of a beach ball. The thing was mind-blowingly big. Now, as soon as this happened, it was almost as if a trance came over us. It affected both of us in the same ways. We both agree that this seemed to be some mythical creature or a shapeshifter. We both also agree that whatever it was good and meant us no harm. It may have been a guardian, or maybe it was something that we witnessed by accident, and maybe we weren't meant to see it. Either way, just the fact that we both saw it, I feel extremely lucky and blessed to have seen proof with my own eyes that animal spirits or shapeshifters or magical creatures do exist. Makes me wonder about stories of fairies and mermaids, and Pegasus and Nessie may just be true. Has anyone else experienced something similar? Some people are saying, I believe you and your son did see something, and if you were going through native lands, it could have been a spirit to tell you that your grandson would be okay. Natives believe when things happen, you'll get signs from nature or from your spirit guides of the outcome.
Well, I believe that shit, honestly.
Someone said, you said you're from Hawaii. Maybe it was your spirit guide to calm both of you. Someone said in Hawaii, the owl is definitely considered a major Amakua spirit animal, blah, 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 blah.
Now, I have two questions. Mm-hmm. What pills did the son take? The grandson take? Viva Viagra.
It was blood pressure, they said.
Oh, of course, the one fucking sentence I miss. And then, why is Grandpa on...
And why is Grandpa's pill bottle not...
No, why is Grandpa on Reddit? That's my...
I don't know. Maybe he's retired and he wants some purpose in life.
But if he has a grandkid that's old enough to take a blood pressure pill...
Quickly, just wanted to point out that there is a real psychiatric disorder called Capgras delusion. And this is where a person holds a delusion that a friend, spouse, parent, another close family member, or pet has been replaced by an identical imposter. So just pointing that out there.
Yo, that must be so freaking scary.
Yeah. So
Imagine,
I guess the delusion is basically they're believing in this like shape-shifting thing. Well, anyway, that was another story. Now we can watch some videos. See her? See your eyeball? But people are saying that that's just a massive blood clot. Well, I don't know about you, but... Thoughts? It's kind of weird, but...
Yeah, that one's a little weird. I think that's just probably a blood clot.
Have you seen the Katy Perry ones?
Where her eye, like, shuts.
Okay, here. It's your eye.
Yeah, it's like stuck.
But she like keeps moving her. I mean, I guess that might be like just something that happens, but why is she still like standing like that?
It could be like paralysis.
Make even more noise for my band.
But then she just keeps going, unless that was like on purpose. I don't know. If you guys like this video, make sure to subscribe.
This week's episode is a little bit shorter than usual.
Yeah.
We've got some good stuff in the works.
But anyways, hope you guys liked it. Make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time here on Cauldron Convos. Bye!
Bye!